Okay, we're up to part 3.25 of the destruction of Europe's Jews. Let's get into it. It's a lot of information.
The only policy is deportation. The Foreign Office has a brilliant idea to use the French island of Madagascar as some kind of colony for the Jews, a dumping ground for the Jews. And Heydrich tells Eichmann he wants an SS plan for Madagascar.
The idea was to deport around about 4 million Jews to Madagascar in an enormous reservation under SS control. It would have been genocide by another route.
So picking them up and moving them to another country was not to save them. It was what by another route? Did he say genocide?
That idea was taken seriously for a while in the summer of 1940, but then could not be put into practice because, of course, although France had been defeated, the Germans were unable to defeat Britain and therefore unable to send the Jews overseas down to Madagascar.
When the Madagascar plan fails, some Jews are pushed from the Saar, Baden, into France.
And in fact, in October 1940, the very same week when Marshal Pétain shook Adolf Hitler's hand at Montoire-sur-le-Loire, 6,000 German Jews from the Rhineland and Westphalia were expelled into the unoccupied zone, into Vichy France.
At 4 in the morning, 3 Gestapo officials hammered at our door. "Come on, take whatever you can carry. You have the right to take 100 Reichmarks and no more." A little van took us, along with some of our neighbours, to the station. We were shut up in the station all day, 1,000 of us. 9 trains came in and they loaded us on. 6,500 people in 9 trains. Everyone was very scared. We wondered if we might be going to Poland. We didn't know where we were going. We had no idea.
In Warsaw, the ghetto was hermetically sealed ever since November 1940. Surrounded by 18 kilometers of walls several meters high, topped with barbed wire. Within these 300 hectares were crammed 130,000 people per square kilometer. The only link with the outside world, a tramway reserved just for Poles, not Jews.
The effect of pushing Jews together in these cities like Warsaw and Lodz, is catastrophic. Overcrowding, bad housing, bad sanitation, malnutrition.
So it is widely known that overcrowding, bad sanitation, malnutrition is catastrophic to a people. So that means a lot of the landlords here in New York know what subjecting your tenants to those kind of conditions can do to a people. Like Country Wayne says, let that sizzle in your spirit.
Add to that 100,000 people who'd come in from elsewhere, and you had overcrowding and dreadful living conditions. People thrown out of their villages couldn't work and couldn't make a living. There were often 15 people living in one room. In the daytime, they were out in the streets looking for work or for food.
The living conditions in the ghetto were gradually dehumanizing the Jews, and all the hardship, all the filth and the grime were gradually turning the ghetto Jews into the image that the propaganda always promoted of them.
Which came first, the theory and use of propaganda to demoralize and dehumanize the people in other people's eyes, or ratchet, trifling, thought, scum, extreme behavior?
Absolute cynicism of this footage was that it obviously set out to portray the caricatures of Nazi anti-Semitism and to exploit all those consequences of the politics of ghettoization and attribute them to a sort of degeneration of the Jewish race.
The aim of these films was to give an image of the Jews which would later justify the politics of extermination.
Die Vernichtungspolitik retten sollte.
The Germans believed in the power of film. Hitler, he understood the power of propaganda. He had a masterful minister of propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, and periodically the Nazis made major films of propaganda.
The exclusively anti-Semitic films were produced in the 40s, right after the outbreak of war.
The two principal Nazi propaganda films orchestrated by Goebbels were The Jewish Peril, a so-called documentary, and Süß the Jew, a fiction by Veit Harlan.
Veit Harlan was known for historical pageants and big screen spectacles, and for the seductive power of his actors.
He appealed to the public by his use of big stars and all the resources of historical drama. He made melodramas that were a real cinematic adventure for audiences. It showed how an Aryan community hitherto protected by keeping out the Jews is perverted and destroyed from the inside by the Jewish virus, which was precisely the Nazi message.
Veit Harlan's idea was to film in the Lublin ghetto because he wanted documentary footage to insert into his film. Unable to do so, he then proposed to bring extras to Germany for the shoot. Goebbels refused on the grounds that they shouldn't bring Jews in for a film about how Jews should obviously be thrown out.
They'll shoot you in the back of the head in front of your kids and your kids in front of you, but they draw the line at forcing the actual people they want to get rid of to play themselves in a movie about getting rid of them. So they decide to pay them instead. Don't y'all find this interesting? Think about the American movie business. Think about that.
Finally, he gave up the idea and shot the footage in Prague at the synagogue with Jewish extras who were forced to play themselves on screen.
Do you think they knew? Do you think those extras knew what they were taking part in? Do you think they knew that they were taking part in propaganda that would be used to exterminate them in Europe? Do you think they knew? I'm sure they didn't. I'm sure they thought they were just actors. Just getting paid to play a role, to share their culture as they saw it. Because look what they were doing. They were, I don't know, it didn't look too, you know. They were just doing what they do in their synagogue. They had no idea of what that was actually going to be used for. I'm sure they didn't know. Think about that.
The anti-Semitic message of this film was obvious to everyone. Goebbels had decided that they shouldn't use the anti-Semitic angle to promote the film, but rather sell it as a drama. He knew its anti-Semitic message was strong enough that it didn't need to be presented as propaganda.
You mean they don't label propaganda as propaganda? They label them as dramas? Maybe they might label them as comedies? Maybe as even documentaries? Oh. My goodness, the thought of people using such trickery. You mean like how Precious was labeled a drama and then won mad awards? Yo, sarcasm aside, that was the most disgusting movie I'd ever seen in my life. And these are the images that are going across the world. That we are the type of people that do precious things.
Sus the Jew was a huge success, whereas Der ewige Jude, the Eternal Jew, was a flop.
Le film, The Eternal Jew, put over the image of the Jew as seen by all the propaganda. You see footage of the Warsaw Ghetto, you see images of a starving Jewish population, and the whole thing's telling you, there, that's what Jews look like.
They're getting rich and profiting from the weakness of a whole people, and always trying to make conditions worse for them. In Poland as well as in Germany. This is how the Jews have always behaved throughout their whole history.
There's another sequence where you see some Berlin Jews at a party in smart suits with champagne and cigars, etc. And you're told, watch out, Jews don't look like this. They look like this, like the Jews in the ghetto.
It has to be said. Like what? A beard? Glasses? I don't see a difference. You know, maybe I got Negro lenses.
The film illustrates the genesis of the worldwide Jewish menace with this incredible sequence of cards showing the plagues that will destroy humanity. There are three of them: the rats, the plague, and the Jews.
Wherever there are rats, there's destruction all around. They spread diseases. Plague, leprosy, typhus, cholera, dysentery. They are cowardly and cruel and move in huge packs. They are the most destructive animals. They are treacherous and live underground, and that's how Jews live among men.
What's more, the rat is a destructive parasite, so the Jews are both disease carriers and parasites. There's that implication too.
This horrible inflammatory pseudo-documentary, The Eternal Jew, didn't last long in the cinemas.
Title was The Jewish Peril.
Institute for the Study of the Jewish Question, The Jewish Peril. We have to be aware of the incredible danger that is menacing civilization. Richard Wagner said the Jew is the plastic demon of the decline of mankind. How can we forget those words when we look at the faces with their clownish cruelty? Some of them, for example, have started to take on rather more worldly airs. Their fathers were from the ghetto, but they've probably never been there. Now, in the second and third generation, their assimilation is almost complete. The name of the game is to look just like their hosts. Even the ones considered to be the Israelite aristocracy and who, through marrying into a degenerate nobility, have for generations held a place in high society, still remain foreigners and should be treated as such. The Jews are like rats. They carry with them destruction. They wreck property and food supplies and spread dreadful diseases. They are cunning, cowardly, and cruel, and they usually appear in huge packs.
Films like that were widely... We were delighted. There was never a time when there were not anti-Semites in France. Well, Hitler